Okay. Dear colleagues, I'm glad to see you at the opening session of the 16th Annual International Conference, Information Communication Technology in Education, Research and Industrial Applications, ICTERI 2020. Of course, I expected to meet you face to face at our university in our beautiful city. Unfortunately, now I have a possibility to present university only in this manner because pandemic because COVID-19 pandemic destroyed our plans. Interesting committee is doing all possible for realizing the plans. We, for example, changed the dates of the conference meetings, keeping the hope that the pandemic is finished in the summer. But the situation in June showed that our hope is excessively optimistic, and we were needed to change the conference format. I thank all members of conference committees for their hard work for providing the ICTERI conference in the online format. I also thank all members of the local organizing committee for their efforts for providing the conference infrastructure. I hope these efforts are fruitful and the conference will be successful, and we will obtain the new experience of applying ICT in real situation. Now I want to give the floor to General Co-Chair of the conference, one of the parent of the conference parent, Professor Alexander Spivakovsky, Rector of Kherson State University. Please, Professor Spivakovsky.
Yeah, thank you very much, Grigory, for inviting me. Say the first word. And dear friends, dear colleagues, in the last year, the international conference ICTERI, our conference, was held at Kherson State University, at my university. And this year it's special. It's an abnormal situation due to the pandemic for the first time when ICTERI is held online. During this time, we worked together not me, but my friends and colleagues worked hard with such people, Mykola Tkachuk, Heinrich Meyer, Mykola Nikitchenko, Grigory Zhalkevich, Vadim Yermolaev, Andreas Bolin. And thank you very much for your hard job. Unfortunately, we cannot hold the conference in the usual format, but we found a solution. I would like to express special gratitude to the main organizer, ICTERI 2020, Kharkiv National University, named after Karazin, represented by Will Bakurov. Unfortunately, now my colleagues Will Bakurov stay in Kiev because it's a very important event in National Academy in Ukraine. But in this year, approximately 500 articles were submitted. 28 persons were accepted, which satisfies Springer criteria. The key feature of our conference is that scientific educators and specialists of IT companies interested in technological research, development of business applications, information and communication technologies, and infrastructures, the use of which is important in education, science, and in industry, joined the conference. Today, I congratulate you on the opening of the conference, the main stage of which will be held by this Friday. And on Saturday, we will check the workshops and closing of ICTERI. We will work in two stages: video presentation of reports and live discussions, as well as questions in the chat with the answers of the moderators. I am sure that professional discussions and exchange of experience will contribute to the development of research in the field of ICT and information systems. According to the results of ICTERI, the best articles will be published in the electronic edition through WS.org of the Aachen University, Germany, and in the international scientific publication Springer, which are indexing in the Scopus scientific database. I wish all participants successful and productive work. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, the social component of our conference, which we used to hold in the usual format on the beach of the Dnieper River or Black Sea, is postponed in this year. But I am sure that next year we will have such an opportunity, and a glass of vodka, it's joke, will help, or maybe no joke, you feel better about each other. Thank you very much for everybody, and have a nice day, have a nice our conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. I am glad to introduce Professor Heinrich Meyer from Alpen-Adria University. He is the godfather of the conference in some sense, and I give the floor him.
Good morning, everybody. That's heavily exaggerated that I am the godfather of the conference, but some of you might know that it's now since about 20 years that I was involved in IT conferences in Ukraine, starting with ISTA 2001, also in Kharkov. And it's since then that I'm really happy that everything is improving, except from our this year's limitations that we cannot meet personally. Nevertheless, I'm quite happy that ICTERI 2020 can take place, not in May, but in October, because we hope that in October the pandemic would allow us to come to Kharkov, but you can hope something, but not everything then is really happening. So that again we will have to wait for next year, and let's hope, as Alexandra said, that next year we really can have also these very nice after conference dinners with personal contacts, because that's one of the very important points of conferences. However, as you perhaps might know, this year or last years I have had the honor to be the presentation chairs of ICTERI, And what I can say within these 20 years now, the quality of the presentations and the submissions has improved considerably. That in the meantime, ICTERI is a conference that can be compared to really international ones. And I think it's also a consequence of all that, we were asked by Springer Nature to make a topical issue for the Springer Nature Computer Science Journal with reports of those research groups that had the highest impact with their publications, ICTERI publications in the last years. So we will, after the conference, we will invite such groups to contribute to this journal topical issue. And I think this will be another quite a big step forward for the Ukrainian IT scene. And I'm very happy about that. So let's see, I hope that this week we will have, again, very nice presentations, that technically everything works. And I'm quite happy to see the chairs sitting there and everything is clear on the screen. So thank you very much for your effort. And let's look forward for next year's do we know it? Perhaps in Kazan. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Heinrich. Kazan University is the conference host university this year. Unfortunately, rector of the university, Academician Bakurov, is in Kiev now, where he takes part in the election of National Academy of Science president. But he prepared the video talk for us. Academician Bakurov.
Dear colleagues, ICT applications are the mainframe of our time. This statement is generally accepted, but its reasonable realizations are not entirely obvious. Moreover, searching for the application fields and realizing the corresponding IT products is the key problem for a lot of activities and businesses now. In this context, ICTERI is a platform for demonstrating the good synthesis of research in the field of computer science and the applications in critically important areas of human activities, namely science, education, and industry. Historically, ICTERI was raised as a platform for communication of Tempus projects participants and disseminating projects outcomes. But now, this conference became the most authoritative IT conference in Ukraine that attracts people from research, educational, and industrial institutions who are involved in the development and using modern ICT in the interest of their institutions. Nowadays, ICT is the principal tool for overcoming threats related to COVID-19 pandemic. It's evident that without modern ICT platforms, the most part of businesses and social activities would terminate. In the modern globalized world, it means destroying critically important relationships between people, companies, institutions, and countries. In other words, it means catastrophic change of human society. Fortunately, the challenge has arisen when we have the tool providing chance to overcome the threats. In this context, efforts for developing new educational instruments based on modern ICT became vital for educational institutions. And we hope that these ICTERI sessions will be very fruitful, will be interesting, and will ensure not only the preservation, but also the development of educational institutions in our country, in Ukraine, and in the world and European educational space.
This year, Professor Nikolai Tkachuk and Professor Andreas Bolin from Alpen-Andria University, Austria, had the conference program committee. I am glad to give the floor to Professor Bolin.
Okay, hello, hi. I hope you can hear me. Everything's working, I hope so. So maybe you could give me a sign when it's not working. Can you all hear me? Yes? Okay, perfect. So then, again, let's start. Director of Curzon University, dear committee members and chairs, dear guests of honor and participants of the conference. As a PC co-chair, I feel very privileged to be able to address you with a few words. This year, all of us have faced great challenges due to the current pandemic situation. And so I feel the need to, first of all, thank all those who contributed to this year's conference. Thank you for your dedication and effort. Thank you for the fact that we all show that despite all the difficulties, scientific life goes on. The theme of this year's conference is integration, harmonization, and knowledge transfer. And already this title places great emphasis on the fact that the ideas and the solutions we are developing and presenting need to also have a chance of being communicated and used. To cover all the different topics related to ICT, there are, as in previous years, workshops, IT talks, there is a postdoc track, a PhD symposium, and 4 main tracks for which papers were submitted. On behalf of the program committee, I can tell you that we had really many excellent submissions, and I can also provide some statistical data. The program committee consisted over 70 renowned international experts and colleagues, and following a blind peer review process, they reviewed a total of 94 submissions for just the main track, of which 26 papers were accepted after intensive discussions. Another 15 submissions were accepted as posters. So according to the papers, this corresponds to an acceptance rate of almost 28%, and this also shows the excellent work of the committee. We have now planned for 9 sessions in the main track, which will offer you a hopefully exciting program, thematically ranging from current research topics to the implementation and teaching. The communication of contents is especially close to my heart because I have been teaching for over 30 years now, and I'm leading the department for computing science and its didactics at the University of Klagenfurt for several years now. And I'm also responsible for the training of computing science teachers at Austrian schools. The importance of an excellent education is obvious, but also to be able to convey the fire for their own subject is necessary. And if we all manage to do so, we will be able to support the next generations, and we will be able to prepare them better for the challenges in their life. So with the conference, I think we are making a valuable contribution to this. And on behalf of my co-chair, Nicola Jakuk, and myself, I would like to thank all PC members once again for their work, and I wish you all an exciting conference, both as pure listeners and as presenters. Thank you, and many greetings from Klagenfurt.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you. Traditionally, we invite for presenting frontier research some colleagues from world-leading R&D centers. This year, we invited Professor Robert de Simon from INRIA, France, and senior research scientist Max Vladimirov from Google Research, California, United States. Unfortunately, Professor de Simon is in the hospital now, and we wish you health and successful all best, of course. So we have only one invited speaker. His lecture is scheduled for 18 East European time, Thursday. I think the vision of machine learning from the research center of Google Incorporation is interesting for the majority of IT researchers, developers, and teachers. I need to say that the session of conference workshop were held yesterday. This gave us some technical experience. I asked Oleg Stokorenko, member of the local organizing committee, to present some technical remarks. Please, Oleg.
Okay, hello everybody. I need 1 second to share my screen. Now you should be able to see a small picture colored. Is it okay? And everyone is listening to me. Okay, I will start. This presentation is aimed to make a small reminder for every participants of our virtual conference. So to remind you how the process should and will work in these days. So the first step that you can see is a session start in 10 minutes before scheduling is the tech admin aim and actually the fields of doing. Then our session chair usually join the session 5 minutes before schedule, just to be sure that all video settings, audio settings, and all things, his PC and browser are working as it should work. So this can be seen on this section. Then when everything is okay, session will start on its scheduled time, and all participants, these white people, will white colored people, sorry, will join the session, and the main my ask and ask of all our committees is to be sure that all your cameras and microphones are turned off for not making some troubles in connection and all things. Then session chair will start his intro speech and make some small presentation of the first presenter. Then our tech admin will start a presentation video. And while this presentation video, all participants and all people who are usually join this video conference are welcome to write some question to the chat in a text form that we recommend to do. Then this process normally should end till the presentation video end, and the tech admin will close this presentation video. Then when session chair found out that video ends, he can make some remarks or some speech that he usually want to say, and the proposed presenter to answer the question that was written during the presentation from the text form. It can be, this question can be read by session chair if he wants to make a discussion, or it can be read actually by presenter. Then we recommend the presenter answer the question not only using the text form, but to turn on now microphone and maybe some video sometimes if internet connection allow this. And using maybe some prepared PDF form presentation to answer this question, using shared slides from his own computer, or maybe just to answer in the text form if he doesn't have a possibility to show something to audience. And when presenter finish the answer the question and the session chair think that for current presentation all discussion is done by time or just by end of some content, he actually or she should propose a new presenter to start his video or some maybe intro or some other discussion. So I think that this small description of one iteration of small video presentation should or will help the people who join us today to understand our small processes. So maybe some of you will have remarks or questions to me. Okay, if no one will ask something, I think that my part with our presentation is end for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Oleg. Dear colleagues, before we start our work, I want to thank our sponsors. This year we have not only the traditional sponsors such as Kherson University, for example, as our university, as OSF Fund, as BVT, and Data Art. We have the IT cluster, the Association of IT Companies in Kharkiv region, the BitMedia Ukraine, and the Integra Group. So our thanks to our sponsors. So I can see that we can begin the ICTERI 2020 conference. Thanks all for participating in this opening meeting, and good luck, good work.